Hello, everyone. Welcome to Uncorked. This is Holly.
And this is Jeanna.
And Jeanna.
I know.
We've been waiting for her for a while.
I know. And I most mornings I wake up not feeling super smart. Today I really don't feel super smart. But
We're
she's
going to
make us
smarter.
smart.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
We have Dr. Donese Worden in
Yes.
the house, and she is a medical doctor, a naturopathic medical doctor, an expert diagnostician. Can I say that, Jeanna? I can.
Is that the right way to say it?
I don't know.
Diagnostician?
I don't know. She's giving me thumbs up. I did it.
Nice job.
I did it. Donnie's likes it. Okay, so she's also an acclaimed keynote speaker and educator. She's the owner of Repower Medical Clinic. She has leading edge approaches to healthcare, Jeanna.
Mm-hmm.
And we heard a little bit about it, a little sneaky peeky, and oh boy, I'm excited.
Get your pencils out, people. Well, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
Yes.
She also has, we're going to direct everybody to her website. She has the Truth in Medicine newsletter where she talks about trends and research and leading information. And it's definitely something that you want to sign up for. We're going to have all that in the show notes. She also has beautiful products and things that hopefully she'll talk about at the end. And
that makes us beautiful.
Well, yes, she has skincare stuff. Yes, we can be more beautiful and more zen. There's a zen. Okay, there's a zen and beauty that goes together.
Even better.
And then there's supplements. So I don't know. You know how when I get on a supplement site, I'm like going, okay, brain health. Yes, check that.
I think we all should put stock in Dr. D's business because it's going to be big. It's going to be big once she is onto your supplements.
Did you nickname her Dr. D?
Yes. She's my new doctor. It's Dr. D. You can call her Donese. I call her Dr. D.
Okay. Well, Dr. Warden is in the house. Welcome so much. We are so excited to have you.
Oh, it's great to be here. You guys are fun, you're educational, and you're making it where people actually want to listen about their health and their wellness. So good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is good. That is good. Honestly, if you don't have your health or your wellness, all the other things really don't matter, right?
That's exactly right.
That's something we should always really put at the top, very tippy top of the list.
But we don't always. We're going to talk about that today.
I know. She's going to tell us.
As women, maybe it's your business or your family, but we rarely put ourselves first. And that is the wrong thing to be doing.
Exactly.
We can't help anyone, including our businesses or our families, unless we are healthy.
Exactly.
I agree.
Couldn't agree more. So, how we like to start our podcast is just, now that Holly's ran through all of, the highlights of Dr. Donese, we'd love to give you the space just to kind of share a little bit more about yourself and your journey to today. That it would be important for our audience to know about you before we kind of get into the conversation today.
Okay, well, let's start with, I've always been an educator. I was in the news business. I worked for NBC and ABC, had my own television talk shows and worked in news. But I knew whenever I was asking questions of people to get the soundbite that we wanted for a news clip, it didn't feel well. It didn't feel good to say, explain to me how you feel when your house just burned down. I said, there's more to life than this. I'd always been interested in science and in medicine. Long story short, got involved. My son at 5 years old was getting college credit. I was taking him to the ASU campus and I thought, I'm going back to school. I had my master's degree, but then I said, I've got to go back. What do I want to do? And I found naturopathic medicine that you could be licensed in traditional medicine and alternative. And I said, that's it. And I knew then, though, whatever I was going to learn, I wanted to bring to the public. How can you be a better person, health, not just body, physical and emotional, but spiritual as well. And I've really gone down that track of talking about, being able to talk about patients in all of those areas. So it's been a long ride. I studied in Europe, even when I was still in medical school, and they have a lot to offer that we do not have in America. And then over the past 2 decades, I've actually lectured all over the country and all over the world, actually. And now I've become the teacher for the past 15 years. So I've educated many physicians. Love what I do in all areas. People say, what do you specialize in? I could say oncology and cancer. I could say women's health. I could say thyroid. And I say, no, I specialize in health because everyone's an individual and it doesn't matter what you have going on right now. physically, emotionally, and spiritually, it needs to be looked at and talked about and discovered as an individual, not as a disease.
So why?
I know.
Can you, spirituality, in overall health and wellness, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because as we all know, it is not, I don't see it as a part of my care with most providers.
Most people don't see it that way.
I don't think so. So tell me about it.
It's a big part of it.
It makes my heart sing to hear you say that.
I know.
So,
I'm starting to get heart palpitations too. I'm like,
don't do that.
But like happiness heart. Okay?
Yes.
No, seriously, I've never heard a doctor say that before. I mean, never heard it.
Yep.
And so like that is super important.
Yeah.
Sure. So it's still a little taboo. You know, we're not taught to talk about that in medicine, even in natural medicine. Let's talk about the biochemistry of the body and the function and the structure. And as naturopaths, we have a counseling degree. So we believe in the mind-body connection. All of that is okay. But the minute you mention the S word, not sex, but spirituality, and both of those are still kind of taboo. You know, you don't get asked in your regular doctor's office how that's going either.
Right.
And they're both very, very important. So from day one, it's been on my intake. I say, do you have a spiritual connection? I don't ask what your religion is, or if you need one or have one. Sometimes it gets in the way. I'm asking, do you feel connected to something outside of yourself? Because in my experience, even I pride myself on being a very good diagnostician, and I have multiple modalities and treatments from around the world. I can't get someone to 100% better unless they feel connected to something outside themselves, so they can get to a peaceful state where the body can actually heal. The rest of what we're doing is just trying to rev up the body, so to speak, get it ready to try to heal. But the true healing happens when you're in a parasympathetic state, when you're in that safe place and you feel connected. That's when the actual healing happens.
Okay, so like I had goosebumps when she was talking about that, because I was like, okay, why do we have all these people feeling disconnected right now? What, like we have children and young people with anxiety and PTSD from the COVID.
Yeah, the COVID. Just like we call it the TikTok.
The TikTok, right. We sound like moms. Okay, totally.
Like moms.
But I'm sorry, I'm still clutching her.
No, it's true. It's so true though.
And that you said we cannot be at 100% until we feel that. I mean, even, you know, we're not at the other end of so much anxiety that, you know, suicide is up, but we may be getting better, but we're not going to get 100, it's what you said, 100% better until we have that deep connection. And is that what's missing today? And I don't know, do you talk about like social media and things like that? That could be the cause of that?
Well, I think all of it. You know, we've disconnected in many ways. Technology is good and bad. You know, the way we don't sit down to dinner anymore is good and bad. It's the schedules. It's the fear. The unknown is really what it is, whether it's COVID or something else. When we feel fear in that unknown is when the body goes into a flight or fight stance to say, I don't feel connected. I don't feel safe. So the body can't do its usual healing responses when it's in that state. So, you know, many reasons why we could be pulled out of that state. But the point is finding a practice, finding something that you can do, whether it's meditation, prayer, breath work, something that you really do every day. You get up, you start your day, and you end your day trying to connect or being able to connect to that unknown, or that God, spirit, Buddha, nature, whatever is the practice that brings you that peace, knowing that that's an important part of your physical, emotional health. It's not just two different areas. They're connected.
Right. Oh gosh. I so hope that as we continue to evolve as a species, that we spend more time on this and truly continue to make that investment in self a high priority, because so many people didn't grow up with a great example of it. Wasn't discussed in the house. I think it actually is discussed maybe even a bit less so in a house where there's a heavy alignment with a religion, like a structured religion. I think we think of that as spirituality, and it is a part of it. It is not the whole of it, right? And I think sometimes other things aren't practiced, from what I remember seeing in my childhood too. I always thought those, the kids who went to church had more spirituality, and actually I don't think that was true at all. They had a structure that appeared that way, but I don't think that's true at all. I think they would say that's not true at all.
And some of the structure is helpful, but some of it is not if it becomes guilty. I'm guilty because I can't live up to what I'm supposed to be doing. And, it's interesting over the years and having that on my intake, and patients would say, yes, I'm spiritual. I'm let's just say I'm a Catholic and I do my rosary every day. And I said, but that wasn't my question. My question is, do you feel connected?
Yeah.
And they would just start crying and saying, but I'm doing all the steps and everything right the way I'm supposed to within my religious belief system, but I don't feel connected.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. Is I don't care how you get there. It's that you need to explore to get there, because once you have felt that beautiful peace, that beautiful, it doesn't matter if you die, if your loved ones die, it doesn't matter. You really know it's all going to be okay, and it is okay. Once you have felt that one time and you know that exists, it's always there for you.
Right.
And tapping in every day is important.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's so great.
We talk about that a lot. Do you have a practice that you'd like to share?
I have several. I really utilize music a lot. I know that you have interviewed my husband, Barry Goldstein.
We listen to Barry.
We love him.
In fact, we were listening to Barry the other night. We had girlfriends together.
We had the girlfriends together, and we pull them up on Spotify. And then people are like, what is this? And then once we launched that show, I will just say, so for everybody, go back to see Barry Goldstein.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Show notes. But I had a friend call me and say that her daughter suffers from anxiety at school, and she was doing her homework. And so she now does her homework with Barry. And she feels more calm and cool. This is a big deal.
Incredible.
Keep going.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. We gush over him.
We're using music to birth children and to have end of life. Many of my patients that have found that peace within that, they want their last breaths with that music in the room. It calms the family and them and allows them to transition. And during your day. So music as medicine is an underutilized piece. And I used to teach classical violin and piano before medicine. So I have a very strong connection to start with. And then I met Barry, and then his music is beyond. So we work with, and I'm on I'm working with some of the research team that Dr. Joe Dispenza has with University of Southern California in studying meditation. I can't say about it yet, but boy, talk about a white paper that's about to come out that you will not believe the changes that are being documented in the brain and the body when you're getting to that space that I'm talking about. So I like meditating. I like meditating sometimes guided with someone taking me through a process. I like music. Barry and I are creating some meditations together as well for others, especially for my patients that need an hour in a chair getting some kind of therapy, usually oncology patients, because there's a lot of fear in that. Meditation, even if it's a day like today, I'm going to have to get up really early, not a lot of sleep last night, but I can do 5 minutes of breath work. I can turn on the music and do breath work and connect, because it doesn't take long. You don't have to do an hour meditation every day.
I love that.
You may need to at the beginning to figure out how to get there, but eventually it becomes very quick, and then you just want to stay there.
Right.
Oh, I love that. I love the prescription is you don't have to do an hour.
No,
That's exactly right.
And I think
that's why people say I don't have time for that.
Right. Or it's scary. Most people, I heard this thing that said most people 30% of the women would take shock therapy over being alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes.
I believe it.
Right.
Well, that's insanity.
I believe it, though. It just tells you how
more men would want a shock than women, but that's just insane.
Well, an interesting thing and a show that you should do, and we could do, it'd be fun on gender intelligence. And it is the difference between male and female brains. And I mean, they are physically, structurally, and they communicate differently. Yeah. Like a male brain, they can turn it off. They literally, when you say, what are you thinking? And they say nothing, and we get angry. Like, what do you mean you're not thinking about anything? Right. They can do that.
Yeah.
It's true. Women cannot shut off their brain. It's not impossible. It's impossible.
Yes.
So understanding the differences and how we communicate is very important. And it's a fun, lively, entertaining topic.
Oh my gosh, we absolutely should.
That is funny.
Gender intelligence is fun.
And we've been talking a lot about just masculine and feminine energy and integrating those.
Right.
Because there'd be beauty to not having a thought in this head. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
I welcome the day when that does not happen. And so,
but you can get there.
You can. I agree.
With the types of meditation I'm talking about, it may be heavy breathing. You're not. If I told you just quiet your brain, don't think about anything, you're going to be. It's going to make you more anxious.
Mm-hmm. Right, for sure.
But
100%.
if we have a breath, a guided, something to do to get the mind busy to say, shut up. Go over here, be quiet just for a minute so I can connect. You can do it.
Yeah.
But it's harder for women with our brain connectivity.
Yeah, I have to. And for me, it's the breath work that if I don't have that.
Everybody has a different path.
Everybody's different. But breath work is a big deal for me. That's incredible. Okay. So you had shared that you've kind of got some steps, because one of the things that I think, and this is maybe a gender thing too, but I don't always know how I feel. And I've been really working hard on that, like connecting. I used to say I walk around like with just a head with no body. So I've worked on that, but I've never been one of those people who people can say, oh, I just know I'm getting ill. I can feel something doesn't. I don't pay attention to those early signs. So do you have a process for people like me or our audience in terms of determining where they're at with their overall health and well-being?
I do. And actually, it's 7 signs that your body sends when something isn't right.
Oh, okay.
And so the goal is at least once a month, get in here and let's just go through it right now. We'll do a quick version of it.
Okay, perfect.
And rate yourself in the 7 areas.
This is where you get your pencils, people.
And do it once a month or more if something's off, right?
Right.
Get your pencils unless you're driving.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's about, when's the last time you did a self-check up for your health? It only takes a couple of minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about those 7 areas. I want everyone to write down a score from 1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Okay. Let's start with sleep. I'm going to give you an example. A 1 score is you can't get to sleep and you can't stay asleep. And there's something in between, right? But a 10 is you wake up ready to go and you continue to have energy throughout your day. You rock up, you wake up without the alarm clock and you're ready to go. So rate between 1 and 10.
Do we have to? I will never wake up.
Do you have an
alarm clock? unless I'm not working, then I do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. So you got to look at, circumstances around it. But what is your right now?
Okay.
I'm saying not what you're doing, just now today, in the last few days, rate yourself. How are you doing right now with your sleep?
Okay. All
right. And then it's just a score of 1 to 10. There's a lot of details here, but right now, basics, body, your body. A 1 is you're weak and flabby and you don't like looking at yourself in the mirror. It's about you, how you feel. I don't care what your BMI is and what the books say and the doctor says that you should be. Do you feel weak? Do you feel soft? Even if you're soft, skinny, and you don't like looking in the mirror. Or a 10 is you love your body and it's working well. No aches and pains. It's working for you. You're strong and you love it.
Okay.
Next is your gut health.
Oh.
So a number 1 is stinky poo. It's too short. It should be from the length of your wrist to your elbow. It should be about as in the middle, as big around as your wrist, a medium brown color. easily passed log. So a 1 is stinky, short, it's not formed, or it's rabbit pellets.
I wish everybody could see Holli's face.
Come to YouTube. You can see my face.
This is a favorite topic. I will just tell you, it's I'm funny.
Getting interested.
You think people don't want to talk about it? Yes, they do.
Oh, yes,
it's
they do.
Yes. Everybody wants to talk about it.
It is true. And
But
it's so linked to everything, right? It's linked to everything.
The brain-gut connection. I was lecturing 20 years at major universities about the brain-gut connection, winning awards in prevention and education and behavioral health, because nobody at that point was talking about the brain-gut connection. It's real. And the microbiome. So anyway, a 10
yes,
would be every day. Every morning, you're kind of so proud of what you produced. You kind of wish you could show somebody. You're like, I can't believe
I used to be like
that just came out of me. And you're like, wow. So that's a 10. It doesn't smell bad. It's formed, easily passed, medium brown.
Jeez. Okay.
Energy, a 1. It would be you're waking up tired. You're tired all day, and then you can't even get to sleep. It's called wired and tired. Wired and tired.
Amen.
That's a 1. That's the worst place than just I'm a little tired today because I didn't get enough sleep last night due to whatever. A 10 is you get caught skinny dipping at 88 years old. And here's a story. My father, who's now 89, at 88, went to a resort. They had a natural springs. They forgot their swimsuits, and they were not going to not take advantage of this, right? So they waited till everybody went to bed. They went out, got in the hot springs, got a little too hot, too tired, lay down, went to sleep on the bench, and got caught skinny dipping at 88 because traveling the world, 18 holes of golf, 3 days a week, going to the gym, lifting weights every day. He's doing hyperbaric oxygen. He actually does everything I tell him to do, which is great. So at that, we're supposed to age that way. We're supposed to have that kind of energy. When people say, oh, I'm getting older, it's like, that's never an excuse. We may slow down. We can slow down, but we should always feel great to be able to do whatever we want to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Amen.
So I just need a pause for a public service announcement. So, Dr. D, I'm taking applications for anybody that wants to skinny dip from now until 88 because I'm in. So far, that's my highest score. We got to go back to the poop afterwards. But, but so far, this is my highest score.
So far, that's my lowest score.
It's
interesting, right?
Oh, shit. Okay, that's interesting for our partnership,
well,
too.
no pun intended. Yeah.
And she's funny. Like, she's so good. She's a TV
I know. I
person.
think
She's
we should
gorgeous.
I know. We need to just move over.
She's done everything.
Yes.
Okay, listen.
Yes,
all right. Oh, let's keep going. Okay, applications. LOA and court. Yeah, you can go on the email.
Now, next is your mental state. So number 1 is you really have no idea what I'm saying right now. I'm talking about a 10 would be you have great focus. You can focus. You have your memory is intact. You're not groping for words or saying, gosh, I can't think of that word or that person. You have clarity. You have cognition. You can think through things and come up with what you need to do next. So rate yourself a 1 to a 10. How is that brain doing? How is your mental state? Now, it's not just how it's functioning. How are you feeling around it as well, right? How are you feeling? Do you have anxiety, depression?
Yeah.
Those things.
All those
that
things.
plays into this.
And I do think for people who, I feel like mine has declined since menopause. I feel like that has been something that I'm actually concerned about. I should rate myself lower.
So it's estrogen. It's a lack of estrogen.
Yeah.
When we lose estrogen, brain, heart, bones don't like it. And that's a whole nother topic. But if you're going to think about bioidentical hormones, it should be within a short period of time around perimenopausal. It can be very protective and help build the bones and help you. There's always you got to look at the cancer risk, compared to it. But that has really, in the latest research, it's not as much of a something that we worry about as we used to. It's still individualized, but it's a hormone imbalance. There's a test that everybody should do. You can put that in the chat. From Precision Medical. It's called Dutch Plus. It will let you know your cortisol levels, how that stress is doing. In the morning, you're supposed to have a bump in the first 30 minutes. It's called an awakening response. That's part of getting out of the bed and going. It'll tell you that. It lets you know your melatonin levels.
Oh, wow.
where it is all night long, and especially early morning when it should be at its best. It lets you know your estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. But what I like about it, it tells us the pathways. And that means if you decided to do estrogen or not do estrogen, it looks and sees some of the pathways that we know that actually can cause damage, DNA damage, and cancer. We can see those now, and we can usually block them with natural means. So now we say it might be worth considering estrogen if we can block those bad pathways.
Got it.
So there's a lot more information that can be had now about hormones to keep you as safe as we can.
Yeah, and I love that. As we just pause on this one, I think that, Doctor, you have so many great ideas on that. I have people that are searching me, actually texting me, asking me, what do I do? My perimenopause is out of control, and then I'm in menopause and I have no estrogen. That can't be good.
Right.
And nobody knows where to go. They were like, give me a naturopath. And I was like, okay, well, no offense to any naturopaths around here, but I was like, I was struggling figuring out what to do. And so, and I know you're in Arizona, right? And so are you still in practice for this? Can they call you? Is this something that you would do telemedicine or whatever you call that?
I do. So I'm in practice in Arizona, but I do a lot of telemedicine. I have clients. Now they can't be patients because I don't have a physical exam on them, but I have clients all over the world, Russia, China, wherever.
Great.
So it's about consulting with them to say, ask your regular doctor under your insurance to do this, 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 and this. And here's some specialty tests that will be helpful for you. So I pretty much treat them and tell them exactly what is the best thing for them, in my opinion. And then they can work. I always try to use insurance as much as possible because it's just expensive without.
Yeah, so, the third party payer is a prohibitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why she's an expert diagnostician, Jeanna.
There you go. You guys are getting Well, the other piece is I am a researcher. I design and conduct clinical research. So I'm not just saying, let me tell you what I learned in medical school. Let me tell you what I just learned at the latest conference and all. It's really about thinking through research-wise what needs to happen first, and not just throw you through a lot of tests. I think a lot of functional medicine practitioners, you go in and you're walking out with bags of supplements and you're walking out with all these expensive tests. And it's like, why didn't you think through? Because if you do this one test, you may not do the algorithm, may not say you have to do the rest of the test. Right. So watching the pocketbook, watching what you're doing, and just the research mind of mine makes me think that way. And then I want to know what is the latest literature. And that's why I'm up usually at 4 a.m. looking at the latest research to try to keep up with that as well.
I love that.
Okay. So, all right. Anyway. So this is beautiful.
I have so many questions. Do you, I have to ask it. I know, 6. I understand. We're on 6. I know. But are you seeing more funding for women's health research?
Finally. And that's part of that gender intelligence that, it's in the corporate world of teaching them male and female how to, and it's a whole topic in itself, but how to communicate across the board there. But it's always been like for example, still, if a woman goes to the ER and they have some of the typical symptoms of a heart attack, from a female standpoint, it feels like I kind of feel like I have the flu, or you don't necessarily have chest pain radiating down the left arm into the jaw. It's not there. And still ER docs are going, take an Indigen. Let me give you a Pepsin and go home and talk to your PCP. We're still missing heart attacks in women because we present differently. But to answer your question, yes. In fact, a new one came out today and I was like, finally. So there's enough of us pushing the envelope that we're starting to see more. But the labs that you get and you have those values, those are based on a 150-pound college-age male. What does that have to do with the postmenopausal one? So you have to work with practitioners that know how to look even at the lab values. But we are getting there. We're getting there. We're starting to see more.
Okay, that just gives me a little hope. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Number 6.
Okay. Number 7, right?
So now let's talk about your relationships, all of them. So 1, you have no family, no friends or colleagues, even at work. You have no intimacy with your partner if you have one, or with yourself. There's nothing going on there relationship-wise. But a 10, to rate a 10 in my book, you can have a supportive tribe around you, family, friends, colleagues, and you can have that. But if you're not having great sex, that's still not a 10 in relationships.
Yeah.
So if something is wrong, if there's pain, whether it's you, the partner, whatever it is, it needs to be figured out and worked on, because that's a really important part of being a human, especially a spiritual and a wonderful human being that can experience everything that we're supposed to. So great sex, supportive tribe, that's a 10.
Got it.
Okay.
Public service announcement number 2.
Oh my God.
I'm taking applications.
Holly's like, I am a 10. If you are a 10 as well, please, and want to skinny dip at 88,
See,
let me know.
You need to be looking for those 10. So at 88 or 90s, and all that,
right.
you're still having a great time.
Yep.
That's right.
You can't be with someone who's not there with you unless you can help them get there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right. So the last one let's talk about is the spiritual health. And we talked about it a little bit, but a 1 would be no connection. You feel alone and you wonder if it's all worth it. It's really just, why do I get up in the morning and there's nothing, just don't feel connected and feel alone. A 10 is that you have the ability to feel a sense of peace. And no matter what challenges are going on in your life, things are falling apart left and right, around you, especially women multitasking all the different jobs and responsibilities that we put on. But you have the ability to say, give me 3 minutes. And you can go do that breath work, that meditation, listen to that song, do a prayer, whatever it is, and you can get there.
Yeah.
And it's all okay. That's it.
Yep.
I love that.
So everybody look back, and I would say no category should be under an 8. If it's under an 8,
What do we do?
really needs to be looked at, right? So you pick your lowest score, and you commit to finding the root of the problem. So your body is wise. It is sending you signals. Don't ignore the signals. To your point at the beginning, right? I just don't. And there's a protective mechanism, is don't be a hypochondriac in the sense is every time you feel something or something's off, you start thinking you have the worst disease in the world.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
But you want to pay attention to the signals if they're there for several days in a row. If it's once in a while you ate something bad, let it go.
Right.
It's okay. Your body will know how to fix it. Don't ignore those symptoms. And we want to age. It's not really aging. It's really, instead of lifespan, we should talk more about health span.
Right.
How long are we healthy and feeling great?
Oh,
so this is about health span. And so there are multiple things within each category that are suggestions. And I have things out there people can look. I think there's still up there, and I'll give it to you to put in the chat. It's a free 3-part health series. It's pretty much brain, immune, and gut. I called it the Big Health Series, and it's free. There's a lot of information, a lot of things for people to think about that they could watch that. And it's 3 hours of content. And just to give them some ideas of things that they could try without a doctor, without a test or a lab.
Right.
Sometimes we need to go there, and it makes it faster and shorter, but there's a lot of basic things that people can be doing.
So the invitation is to find out your lowest score and commit to figuring out what to do about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be ringing, dinging, doctor.
I'm going to ring you too.
Okay. Because
so what I would
you're
suggest
so
is
formal.
not to
Dr. W. I call her Dr. D.
I know.
I go first name.
Because I'm going to start calling her, as my doctor. Like I have to go more formal. So
this is so good.
And that's the thing I don't want everybody to do is go out and say, I'm going to buy a bunch of supplements and see if this has my gut health. No. What's causing the symptom?
Correct. Yeah.
We want to fix it, because you can feel better for a minute on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then it not come back, or you don't want to mask it. Worse is cut the fire alarm off and leave the fire going. So now you're masking a symptom. Your body was trying to give you a sign. Now you masked it, you feel better, but there's still a problem there that could turn into something worse if we don't know what's causing it. And more is not better, especially with supplements, especially with the quality of the supplements.
You need to write that down, Holly.
I know, no,
I know.
I did
not better.
More is not better.
No.
Okay, like that's what I do. I throw everything. I was like, oh, I'm going to get cell salts and do homeopathic stuff, and I'm going to do this.
And then she looks at the dosage amount, and then she like triples it.
I triple it. Okay, and then I get in trouble. Okay, and then I get sicker. Okay,
Yeah. More is not better. And homeopathy in itself, and I know you've had other guests on, but really the lower the dose, the stronger the medicine. It's opposite. So the lower the dose, the stronger it's going to be. So when you triple that, you just lower the efficacy of it.
Yeah.
So,
okay, well that's what I did. So no, I love
you're
that.
reformed. No, you're reformed.
Well,
yes,
I love that. Okay, so I'm committing. Mine was my gut health, and I'm committed to do something about that because I've been struggling with that for a while.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There are great microbiome tests, parasitology tests. There are some really interesting, great tests out there now to see if it's needed, really what's going on at that deep level of why you're having that.
It's
Is
interesting.
it emotional?
Is
it emotional?
Yes, I've done all those tests. I've actually done those microbiome, those special tests. Some of them are kind of gross, Jeanna. I won't tell you what you have to do, but and nothing came back. Like nothing came back.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering about that. Mm-hmm.
Well,
but we don't need to diagnose me today.
Right. Just one thing for your listeners, though, a lot of things will come back and it looks okay. You've got the right ratio of good bug, bad bug, all that. And they may say you don't have a parasite, but I will tell you, because I worked with the world's leading parasitologist I studied with him for 4 years, and with the CDC, a whole big thing. I know more about parasites than any doctor that I know.
That's
they get missed a lot. There's only one lab that I really, really trust to make sure there's not a bug there. Many people have had all those tests that come back and say it's not there. And I look at other markers and say, I think we need to look. We may find one or multiple parasites.
Yeah.
So there's a cause. That's all I will say. There's a cause. You need to find the root of the problem. And it may not be more tests. It may be just really listening to the symptoms and knowing what needs to be done next.
I got a 10 on the last one about, spirituality, but now that I am reminded about parasites, I need to mark that down to a 9. I don't think about bugs in my body normally, and now I'm like, oh my god,
you shouldn't.
Shoot,
but that's a normal thing. That could be a problem if you have gut health.
For sure.
And we don't know it.
Right.
People don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't. And you've got to realize we're mostly bugs. We're mostly water. Yes. And then we're mostly bugs after that. They're only a small percentage of us. A very small percentage is actually our DNA, which is us. Right. So it's all about the bugs. We have to treat our bugs, our skin health, our microbiome, gut, skin, all of it is who this body's really mostly about. Mental health, very much tied to gut.
Oh, huge. Yeah.
Microbiome.
Well, because I like to overdo everything, what I will say about our 7 pillars here is that if you're not above an 8, you were not living up to our optimal health. That's what we're saying.
Mine's energy. My lowest one was energy.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
Great.
Okay.
That's great.
So you can you imagine me with more energy?
Oh, I love it, Jeanna. Can you imagine what we could accomplish?
It's so exciting. That's so true.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
we want to be at as close a 9 or a 10 at least to have our passion and purpose, to be able to get it out there to the world and do everything that we want to do.
Yeah.
For ourselves, our family, our friends, and in your case, and in all our cases as educators, we want people to be happy and healthy.
For sure. No, that's so
I'm happy and healthy just to have you here. Okay.
I know.
This is so exciting.
I know.
Okay. So let's talk and switch a little bit to some of these leading edge approaches to healthcare that you're involved in that could help our listeners who might be struggling or have family members who are struggling.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right. So, I see patients for a lot of different things. If it's something easy, I just say, go see, it's someone else, but I like the ones that are complicated cases. So I do a lot of oncology and I'm part of the metabolic terrain group. So cancer is not a genetic disease. There's only 3% or so that are actually genetic. problems. The genes get damaged, but it's a metabolic problem. That means the cell got damaged inside the mitochondria. I won't get too sciencey on you here, but
I love that though.
there's a damage inside the cell in the mitochondria, and that's what causes cancer. That's what the ketogenic diet is about, because cancer's favorite food is sugar. Hyperbaric oxygen. We have metabolic therapies that are amazing. I work with oncologists at MD Anderson and City of Hope and Mayo around the world, working with the oncologists, not against them, with them on these metabolic therapies that we have. Sometimes, in certain cases, patients don't want traditional care, or the traditionalist said, we've done everything that we can do. Sorry. And then they're back to us. But if I can get them at the beginning, it's much easier. But these metabolic therapies are exciting, part of a group that I'm on the board of directors. We're building the first of its kind hospital, treatment center, and research center. It'll be here in Arizona. We haven't made the big announcement yet, but land has been donated. Funds are coming in. It's working and it's great. We're not trying to change the medical model. It's too broken. It's too hard to do. We're creating a new model, and that's exciting. So I love that. Anybody with oncology needs or cancer, I do a lot of consulting, whatever their belief system is, traditional, I want both, or I just want one or the other. I work a lot in that, and a lot of unique modalities that I've been doing for a while. I mentioned to you, and your eyes kind of lit up there at the beginning, is the apitherapy, which is bee venom injections. I've been doing that for 20 years for rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune conditions, MS. It's amazing. It's one of the most potent anti-inflammatories known to man. And in Australia, big studies came out a couple of years ago on oncology. Now it's in vitro, in vivo. It's on mice and it's in the dish, but it's poking holes in the cancer cells where we're getting better therapy, this and that. I've been using it for about a year and a half on my patients here. And the oncologists are saying, okay, keep going. This is amazing. We're shrinking tumors and cancer markers, and we're working on the metabolic therapies as well. So there's some unique therapies that we will be doing the research on in humans. Right now, I work with a few select patients that I do that with, and because I've been doing it 20 years and I'm licensed to do it. I'm not saying I'm treating cancer with it, not saying I'm carrying it. I'm saying it's something that helps with sleep and helps with the immune system. And we know the mechanisms. It's been studied. So that's exciting. So I'm called the bee queen. Yeah.
The bee queen.
Or the queen bee?
The queen bee. Yeah. So I love that. You know, I formulated helped formulate, being part of teams, some of the top formulas in the country, part of the team that brought pea protein to the market. Nobody had it, hadn't heard of it. Oh, yeah. First to the shelf at resveratrol. So I've been at the supplement side for a while, but I also know there's quite a few bad players in the industry. Yeah. So I always say, if you're going to take something on a daily basis, this is a key for your listeners, get a certificate of analysis, ask that company for it. Anything I've got that I utilize that's on my site for my people or anybody who wants it, I have a certificate of analysis in batch run. They have to show me they tested. Not only does it have in the bottle what it says it's supposed to have, which a lot of times it's not even there, but what shouldn't not be in there: arsenic, lead, molds, fungal growth. There's a lot that can happen in those supplements. Yeah, so again, more is not better. Which ones, it depends on how you're eating, which ones do you actually really need. And then they must be quality, or I would rather you be on nothing. Take nothing unless you know that particular bottle, they tested. Otherwise, I don't trust it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that is
so
really, really important information though, because you're right. It's a flooded market. And I think it's so overwhelming that without, someone like yourself helping guide someone through, I mean, we're just picking stuff off a shelf and going. Oftentimes, it's the coolest looking bottle. Is what I.
That's right.
It's what went viral.
It is marketing.
Right. It's what went on Instagram. It went viral or whatever.
It's exactly right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it sticks. Yes. Do you actually need it? And if you do, why do you need it? What's causing the problem?
Right.
Maybe we need it for a short period of time. Why are you deficient in something? Is it leaky gut or what's going on?
Right.
But if you really need some supports, you better make sure it's good quality.
Yeah.
And a lot of doctors have well-meaning. They put their own little formula together. The formula looks nice. They put it on the bottle, but they're not following through on this quality control piece from the manufacturing standpoint. And that's a problem.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's so good. So, you talked earlier about the, male brain, female brain, and this very, very different wiring and approach to life. I'm curious, as you were just talking about the bee venom, and, oncologists are going, whoa, keep going, keep doing it. Are you feeling, because we've talked about it on the podcast a number of times, that there's such a distinct difference between the Eastern and Western approach to medicine, and they tend to clash and fight with one another sometimes. And I think naturopathy is part of that, more on the Eastern side, because it pulls in all these other things that Western medicine traditionally has not. So are you feeling like there's more of an openness or an integration of those two?
It's happening. And what I will say, there are some people that are so stuck within their paradigm, within their box, they're going to have to die for that paradigm to change in a big way. They will just have to, that generation has to go. But even some of the newer generations, new docs in allopathic medicine that graduate, they just learned what they've learned within that box, and they're not stepping outside of it, nor are they really allowed to. It's called standard of care. Their hands are tied. They can't do these things. They can't even recommend it. They can't say, well, they have to put in the chart that they recommended the cookbook medicine, which is put in its way because it's been studied.
Sure.
Give it that, right? Sure. So I'm more of a bridge. It's like, what makes sense? It's not one or the other. You don't need to choose. It's like, which makes the best sense for this patient in this instance. And there's a time for traditional allopathic medicine. And then there's a time, which is far underutilized, with the natural things that we can be doing to heal the body. But we're back to the 7 pillars. How are you doing emotionally and physically, spiritually? Are you taking care of those basics? If you are, your body is the best pharmacy in the world. There's nothing stronger. It has no side effects. It goes to the right place in the right dosage. It knows what to do. And it's stronger than our medicines, far stronger. The molecules we make, tapping into that is where healing is. So a lot of people are going to integrative medicine. That's what functional medicine is about. MDs saying, okay, I see the limits here. I want to learn more on the natural side to become functional medicine practitioners. Naturopaths start out that way, saying this is where we want to be. But we've got to be careful, because both sides cannot be caught into we're better than and we're the only way to go. And that's where the problem is. There needs to be more of us saying this is an integrative approach, and we look at whatever is best for the patient. Some has a lot of science behind it. Some may be anecdotal. Chinese medicine, thousands of years of experience. We need to pay attention to that.
We need both. We need both.
All of it.
We need both. We need both. If you break your leg or you're having a heart attack, you don't want to go to the naturopath. Exactly. Right? So you need surgery sometimes. And I was signed at PBS, but I think we're taking it to somewhere else. I have a show called Health Hot Seat. It's got to go. I'm in the middle. I'm in that chair in the middle, bridging like we're talking about. I did a pilot on cardiovascular. I had a traditional cardiologist who was very stuck into, if you don't have a clinical trial, double-blind placebo, I won't even think about it or consider it, right? On the other side is somebody who was also a board-certified cardiologist, but he was saying, hey, what about CoQ10? And I was going, yeah, but what about the quality? So I'm in the middle, kind of pushing both, but the public needs to hear it. What's happening is everybody's hiding it. You go to your regular doctor, you get that, and you don't tell them all the other things that you're doing. And you don't tell your natural practitioner that you actually listened to the regular doctor and took an antibiotic when you might have should. So let's get it out there. We debate politics. We have not done it in medicine, and we need to do it, because people need to hear both sides, the strengths and the weaknesses of both.
Yeah.
So I'm passionate that needs to happen.
So where is this health hot seat? Where can we find that?
It's right now. I don't have it in I don't know. We've got people looking at it in Lifetime and some other
I was
places.
going to say, I want you to do a reality show and
so good.
not only do like a panel, but like we'll follow you around.
Yeah.
And
with my camera.
That's where it went. So PBS,
so
it was
good.
signed there, and it was going to be me sitting there with two guys in two chairs, and that was going to be, they didn't want it to be as exciting as I wanted it. Another group said, let's do it reality. You got it. Let's follow the patients. Yep. The ones that had diabetes and they did the drugs, and the ones that did let's make it reality. And that was fun. And that got bigger. And then COVID happened. And so now
it's going to pick back up.
It'll come back.
I can't wait.
Because here's the thing. I think, part of it is I think it'd be phenomenal for people to have some like stories that model the way, right? Yeah. And you can see what goes into health and well-being, and you can follow somebody throughout their journey. I think
and make it fun
and exciting
and impactful and heartfelt and there's no or.
No, never an or. So what one or two things would you recommend to those of us that are trying to navigate a very, very broken healthcare system? Are there suggestions that you would have for us? Because I mean, it's so busted up.
I know. So, in that 3-part health series, I'm just going back to that because that would be where they could find. I think it was in that one. I gave a list of labs that you should be asking your doctor to do every year. They're just going to do a CBC Chem panel, but you can ask for a hemoglobin A1C to look at 3 months of sugar. You can ask for, on top of cardioreactor protein, how much inflammation. So expanding the list of what you ask your primary to do is a good first step, right?
Perfect.
And saying, can you do all these tests for me, please? Yeah. If they won't, then you find another provider. But so that's the first step. And then, under insurance, when we need imaging, if we need a CAT scan or an MRI, I want insurance paying for those things. The problem is they're stuck. Do this one first. If that doesn't show, then you can go to this one. Yeah. Whereas I'd be saying, we know we have a cancer. Look, do a PET scan. I want to know if we have metastasis now. I want to know now. Right. So you almost have an advocate. Find an advocate that will help you manage through that system, saying you need this, this, and this. And a lot of us work with the traditional docs saying, this is why, I want this. Will you do this? And they go, sure. They're overworked. They have, what can you do in 5 to 7 minute visits?
That's what can you learn? That's exactly right. I have compassion for all sides of the equation, right? It is just,
absolutely.
They're at the whim of a bunch system too.
Right. Yeah. I'm not about bashing traditional medicine.
No.
They are overworked. They have not enough time. They know it. They're doing the best that they can.
Absolutely.
But this is your health, your life.
Right.
So that's where you got to expand your health team.
Yes.
Find your team that works together. And that's the best advice that I can give. You can't just you could just stay with your traditional doc if you get a good one and nothing's going wrong. That's great. But you want to expand it, you need to create a team around you.
And it would probably depend on, each person, but in general, for, someone midlife who generally is healthy, but maybe has a few scores below the 8 or 9, like who would be on the team? Who would you recommend? Are there a couple, 3 different provider types that you're like, you definitely need these people and have a relationship and have them on your speed dial go to?
I want all of them, Jeanna.
So, right. It's not even just a modality. Go get a naturopath or a functional medicine. Right. It's like, who do you resonate with? Right. Who's a doctor that you can trust, that you feel? And that means you interview them. You literally may have to go and spend time with them to say, I resonate with this person. Nice. I felt heard. They were listening to me. They got me. And I trust them that they're smart enough to do the things they need to do and not do too much and cost a fortune. Right. So it's hard. So the healthcare team is somebody who's more integrative, that knows the specialty test, that knows about them. Okay. And then your traditional doctor who's going to be able to run things under insurance that we need them to do. And they can be good diagnosticians too. They really can. Sure. So, and then I always say part of your team do you need an emotional, spiritual counselor? Do you need that person that's helping you on that side of it as well? Yeah. Do you just need to go to some workshops or some retreats and just energize yourself with spirituality and energy? What do you need? And finding groups around you. Maybe you don't need a mentor, a person, but maybe you need a group. You know, people like, I mean, I brought up Joe Dispenza before, but I mean, he has 8,000 people.
Yeah. His community is amazing. 2,000
people. And they're amazing, because talk about riding on a wave of energy. Now, you've got to have in your belief system the way he teaches and what he's teaching. If you don't, it's not going to resonate.
Right.
So you get on YouTube and you listen and you find somebody and you say, I like that person. Yeah. I'm going to do something with them.
God, that's such great advice.
Best advice.
It's so good.
Listen, I don't want
to let it go.
Us.
I know. I'm saying the same thing. I think we're going to have a series. If she's
Dr. Warden.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Okay.
It's fun. I love doing these. It's easy for me.
You're so good at it.
You guys have to do all the hard work to prep and all that. I like showing up and just pick my brain for a minute.
Well, you're definitely a media personality. I can definitely see it. Well, you're so much more than that. But like, I could definitely see how a person with all of your skills could be out in the forefront, and you are in the forefront, changing that medical model, changing that optimal wellness, and the way that you're so inclusive and bring everything in. And you're right. I mean, I think you're right. And the way you do it is just incredible.
Yeah. And I love that you started with it. You've said it multiple times throughout the conversation. You, I think maybe equal to your doctor and your degree and the work you do it's education and educating and educating. And I just think that is also a big missing in our healthcare system.
It is.
Yeah. And so it is. Thank you for bridging. Thank you for educating. Thank you for the passion. I mean, you exude passion. It's just been a delight to have the conversation with you today.
We definitely love on you 100%. Okay. And we're going to continue now.
All the love I can get. You're part of my relationship tribe now, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, we would love to have you back. Yes, as we close, is there anything else that we have not talked about that you'd like to add?
You know, I think, again, just closing in that the power of the human body itself, the mind, the psyche, we can heal most things. We really can. The body is wise. We've got to learn to listen to it better and not over medicate it and over supplement it. And we've got to learn to find just the root of the problem and trust our body, breathe through it and say, really analyze, where am I struggling? And let me see if it needs some outside help. Otherwise, do the inside work. That's where the real magic and the real medicine happens, is when you're in that relaxed, wonderful state where your body knows what to do.
God, that's so good. I also learned cancer likes sugar. So it's another reason for me not to. So if I eat less sugar,
we're going to continue.
Cancer goes down. Oh, no, I was like,
sugar's terrible for you.
I've never heard that before.
You didn't know that?
Absolutely.
I know sugar's bad for me. I didn't realize the connection with cancer.
They eat. When you do a PET scan and you see it light up and you're like, oh, that's where the cancer is. What's lighting up? They put glucose into your body and it goes to where the cancer is, because it's a voracious eater, and it lights up. That's what a PET scan is.
Oh.
It's showing you the cancer eating the sugar. So less sugar, less carbs, more veggies, more water.
Okay, this is
good. Not that hard.
And I have one other thing, because I will not be able to forget it. I will have to email you later. Did I hear that your 5-year-old son was taking college classes? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. Yeah. When he was 5.
Can you circle back on that?
What's he doing now? How old is he now?
At the time, and it keeps popping up in my head. I'm
glad you asked, actually, because I was like, did she say something? I was certain that I didn't hear that right. Okay.
Let's brag on your son for a bit, because that is pretty incredible, actually.
You heard that right. But this is a teaching lesson too. You can have all these natural abilities and have a brain like his that, at 5, he was getting college credit. He was starting to fly planes. He was doing all these socially. He wasn't one of these the genius brain that can't be social, that can't do that side of it. He was very well-rounded, did all of it, doing great. He got into high school, started doing things that he shouldn't have. And it's been a rough, hard road. He has come back. I'm super proud of him. He's amazing. He can still do as many amazing, passionate, purposeful things as he wants in his life.
Yeah.
But that was a big learning curve for me. Here I had this kid that's going to cure cancer, literally one of those.
Right.
Yes,
And
yes.
he decided to take his own path.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing as a mother
Oh,
to watch
Yeah.
and not be able to fix. So that was another learning lesson. You can't fix everything.
No, you can't.
But there's always hope. There's always the ability, and I'm proud of him. He's doing great.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love
But
that.
it's an interesting story.
It is. It is. That
Detailed
is.
story.
Well, we're firm believers. Everything happens for a
yeah,
reason,
and that
will
he's
come back
on
and serve him.
purpose,
Yes.
and then that's
That's
going to
right.
serve
I
him when
think
he
so,
is
too.
curing something
He's going to have
incredible,
a
super
story.
important.
He's gonna have a
Everything is
beautiful
connected.
story to tell.
Yeah,
for
That's
sure.
right. It was his story.
And it's and as mothers, we can
Of course.
completely relate to what you're saying.
We want to fix it.
Right, we do.
some things are not,
Right.
it's not our responsibility to fix.
No, and then the more we try and fix, the worse it gets
The
for
worse.
them.
That's exactly right.
Yes, boy.
Exactly right.
Learning that
Yeah.
one the hard way myself. So
I love it.
Oh, it was
Okay, we've
beautiful.
gone
Okay,
everywhere.
I promise I will
Yes.
let you go now. Thank you.
No problem. I enjoyed it. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much.
likewise.
And anytime you want to have a conversation about any of these other things, a deep dive, let's do it. Lots of fun.
We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much. It was very gracious to spend this time with us and our audience, and we thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right.